How's it going, fellow Detroit Red Wings fans? Today we are talking about next season's Detroit Red Wings lineup. Yes, I have a cold, so my voice is going to sound incredibly deep for the moment. Let me just add this. The lineup is assuming that none of our UFAs are signed, which is Thomas Vanek, Nicholas Kronwall, and Luke Witkowski. And there's no big trades outside of Jacob Trubia coming to the Red Wings. I think that the Winnipeg Jets would trade him for draft picks. They're already tight against the cap ceiling. They don't need another player to sign or to take up more cap space. So without us slowing down, let's jump right into the offensive lineup. Pretty much for the offense, I wanted someone that had a little bit of grit, size, something like that, a playmaker, and a goal scorer. So the first line, I had on the left wing, Taro Hirose. He made the jump into the Detroit Red Wings lineup last season. He played 10 games. He had 6 assists and 1 goal. He's obviously a good player and has an amazing passing ability, and I think he should be on the first line. If not Tyler Bertuzzi, but for how the cards fell, I think Taro Hirose should be on the first line. With that, at center we have Dylan Larkin. Dylan Larkin is obviously the Red Wings' #1 center and will be for years to come. I doubt anyone will beat him out for that spot for a long time. On the right wing, we have Anthony Mantha. He is the goal scorer. Anthony Mantha proved he can be the Red Wings' goal scoring threat next season. World Championships, he played amazingly, and not to mention he played an amazing last few games last season. So I think that should be the top line. Second line, left wing, we'll have Tyler Bertuzzi. He's obviously very gritty, likes to play in the hard areas, and I think that would be a good spot on the second line. Not to mention he is very smart offensive. He knows where to go to get the pucks in the net. At center, I had Andreas Athanasiou. Of course, he's going to be our second line center. He's very offensively minded. He's gotten his defensive side down, and he's good playmaking, not to mention goal scoring forward. On the right wing, I had Filip Zadina. I didn't want to put Zadina on the first line at the time. Zadina hasn't proven himself to be the complete NHL goal scorer, not to mention we don't know if he's going to prove himself to be an NHL forward. Either way, I put him on the second line. I think he'd be a good goal scoring addition to this lineup. Andreas Athanasiou and Filip Zadina bouncing off each other, creating offensive chances, not to mention Tyler Bertuzzi digging in the deep areas and getting the pucks to those players. I think that would be a good second line for the Red Wings going forward. So the third line is more of a defensive, responsible line. This could go up against another team's second line, maybe first. I don't think as much at the moment. They have younger players. I have Frans Nielsen on the left wing. He's proven to be a very responsible defensive forward, not to mention getting some points when he can. Michael Rasmussen at center. He's a good center. He's young. He's going to have to learn a little bit. That's why I want him on the third line. And not to mention Frans Nielsen to kind of mentor him in that role. Not to mention Frans Nielsen can kind of mentor Joe Veleno. I think Joe Veleno is ready for the NHL level. I think last season even he was ready for the NHL level. I thought he was better than Filip Zadina at the time. I don't know where they stand as of the moment. I haven't seen them play together since last preseason, so we will see where they stand come training camp. Fourth line will be obviously the grind line. It's energy, they grind, they get dirty pucks, dirty goals. I have Christopher N on the left wing, very responsible defensive forward and kind of a chippy player. We have center Darren Helm, who's known to grind it out, get pucks, be very smart with when to pick his chances. And I have Justin Abelkader on the right wing. We all know he's a chippy player, power forward, he likes to get in the dirty areas, he loves all of the dirty aspects of the game. With that, onto the defensive side. Let me just add how I did the defensive lineups. I pretty much paired it up with a young guy mixed with an older defenseman, more of a proven NHL defenseman that can kind of mentor him into becoming an NHL defenseman. I have Jacob Trubia and Filip Hronek on the first line. Filip Hronek, I feel like definitely proved he could be a #1 top pairing defenseman going forward for the Red Wings. He had an amazing World Championships, leading all defensemen in points. And Jacob Trubia should be on his left. He's a young defenseman. He's 25. He's got a lot of potential. He's a #1 defenseman as of the moment. Jacob Trubia, I feel like, is definitely a player that could be a top pairing defenseman for the Red Wings this season. He's proven to be a good defenseman. He's got offensive capabilities. He's young. He's 25, and he's got a lot of potential. The second line will have Mike Green and Dennis Cholowski. Dennis Cholowski, I feel like last season definitely proved he can play the offensive aspect of the game at the NHL level. The defensive side was a little bit lacking. That's why he was sent down to Grand Rapids, and I think he definitely developed it a lot better. And not to mention, he'll have a full offseason to develop his defensive game. I do think he'll make the Detroit Red Wings team out of training camp. I just do not know if he will stay with Detroit the entire season. And Mike Green will be on his other side. Mike Green obviously is proven to be an amazing defenseman, offensive defenseman, when he is healthy. He played not many games for the Red Wings last season. Did well in the games he did play, but he played almost half of the season only. The third line would have Danny DeKeyser and Madison Bowie. Madison Bowie, I definitely think, has his defensive game and offensive game figured out. I don't think he's a top-ranked defenseman, but I do think he's a good defenseman for the Red Wings to have. And on the other side, I have Danny DeKeyser. Danny DeKeyser, of course, he's a proven NHL player. He can handle it. He's very responsible. He can create plays. He's not exactly a first-line offensive defenseman, more of a two-way defenseman, and not even a first-line or second-line two-way defenseman. At the 7th D, I have Jonathan Ericsson. Obviously, no one wants him in the lineup. No one wants him under contract, but we have him for one more year rather than buying him out and having him for a little bit more time on the cap hit. I feel like this would definitely be a smart area. Just put him as a 7th defenseman. I know you're probably asking, where is Trevor Daley? I felt like Daley would definitely just hang up the skates, retire this season. He's old. He's 36. He didn't play very many games last season. He was injured for a lot, and I think he would definitely be ready to retire as of the moment. On the goaltending side, we have Jimmy Howard, Jonathan Bernier. Jimmy Howard starting, Jonathan Bernier backup. No big changes from last season. I hope Philip Larson can come in and battle it out for a roster spot in Detroit, but I doubt it. He's probably going to have to prove himself at the AHL level, and they'll let him have his chance in the NHL. That's usually how it goes for goaltenders, but you never know. Not to mention, I don't think they're going to put him in Detroit as a backup. An NHL starting goaltender, or possibly an elite goaltender. Either way, not going to be getting that development being an NHL backup. What do you guys think of my lineup? Is it good, bad? Do you have players in different spots? Let me know down in the comments. Until next time, lights out in the red light district.